So right now we're going to start Jonah 1. I'm going to read the whole chapter, and then I am going to read a footnote. And the footnote is on 14 through 16. Verses 14 through 16 will be our emphasis right now. So, and I'm reading from the Life Application Study Bible, and and it will be the NIV version. Jonah forsakes his mission. Jonah flees from the Lord. The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai, Amittai. Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah ran away from the Lord and headed for Tarshish. He went down to Joppa, where he found a ship bound for that port. After paying the fare, he went aboard and sailed for Tarshish to flee from the Lord. Then the Lord sent a great wind on the sea, and such a violent storm arose that the ship threatened to break up. All the sailors were afraid, and each cried out to his own God, and they threw the cargo into the sea to lighten the ship. But Jonah had gone below deck, where he lay down and fell into a deep sleep. The captain went to him and said, "How can you sleep? Get up and call on your God. Maybe he will take notice of us, so that we will not perish." Then the sailors said to each other, "Come, let us cast lots to find out who is responsible for this calamity." They cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. So they asked him, "Tell us, who is responsible for making all this trouble for us? What kind of work do you do? Where do you come from? What is your country? From what people are you?" He answered, "I am a Hebrew, and I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land." This terrified them, and they asked, "What have you done?" They knew he was running away from the Lord, because he had already told them so. The sea was getting rougher and rougher, so they asked him, "What should we do to you to make the sea calm down for us?" "Pick me up and throw me into the sea," he replied, "and it will become calm. I know that it is my fault that this great storm has come upon you." Instead, the men did their best to row back to land, but they could not, for the sea grew even wilder than before. Then they cried out to the Lord, "Please, Lord, do not let us die for taking this man's life. Do not hold us accountable for killing an innocent man, for you, Lord, have done as you pleased." Then they took Jonah and threw him overboard, and the raging sea grew calm. At this, the men greatly feared the Lord, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord and made vows to him. Now the Lord provided a huge fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. So, again, let's read 14 through 16 one time. That's our emphasis on Jonah 1. Then they cried out to the Lord, "Please, Lord, do not let us die for taking this man's life. Do not hold us accountable for killing an innocent man, for you, Lord, have done as you pleased." Then they took Jonah and threw him overboard, and the raging sea grew calm. At this, the men greatly feared the Lord, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord and made vows to him. Now, the footnote on Jonah 1, 14 through 16 says, "In the middle of the storm, Jonah came to his senses and realized that it was impossible to run away from God. So he submitted to God and was ready to accept whatever God wanted to do with him next, giving the crew an honest explanation of what was happening and what needed to happen next." That's on 1:12. As a result, the ship's crew began to worship God when they followed Jonah's instructions and then watched the storm immediately quiet down. They were awestruck at God's great power. The sailors repented, but Jonah did not. Jonah became God's missionary even though he didn't want to. God uses even our mistakes to help others come to know him. The experience may be painful, but admitting our sins can be a powerful example to those who don't know God. Ironically, the pagan sailors did what the entire nation of Israel would not do: pray to God and vow to serve Him. So, let's read a little bit of part of that footnote where it says here, God uses even our mistakes to help others come to know Him. The experience may be painful, but admitting our sins can be a powerful example to those who don't know God. And that can be a powerful example. And I've seen people that made mistakes and that came to know God and that asked God for forgiveness. And that particular mistake that they made helped other people get to know God more. So that's what I pray for everybody, is that they go to the Lord when they make mistakes, and that they admit that they made a mistake, and that they can tell people that, hey, I am not perfect, and that helps them to know God, to know that God is loving even when we do make mistakes. So I pray for you to do that. If you have made a mistake, let it go. Let God know, and show people that, hey, I've changed. And it does. It feels good when you do that, because it's like a weight has been lifted from your shoulders. It does feel that way, and it feels good to let God take control instead of letting us take control. And admitting it will help somebody that is going through that same mistake, and they see that you've made that mistake, and that you've given that up to God, and that you asked for forgiveness, and that God forgave you, and it helps them going through those same mistakes, that they can know that God will forgive them. Well, I love you guys, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.